Hello everyone. This week's viewer's question is life and the universe simply a coincidence? Hello everyone. So I have a question here from a viewer and I'll just jump straight into the question. It says, does anyone here believe that things happen by coincidence, or has everything had a reason to happen? I'm studying science at university, and it's currently thought by most of the people I speak to that life is random and the universe is simply a probability of things that have happened. Therefore, there's no room for God and everything is just a coincidence. What do you think? Well, great question, by the way, because it is very, very popular at the moment with people like Richard Dawkins Ricky Gervais and these incredible people who are very articulate and smart guys who are out there, and they're talking about there is no God and perhaps life is a coincidence, and it's a valuable viewpoint to learn from because they do have insightful things to say. The universe is not a coincidence, and I would love to have this conversation with anyone who believed the universe was a coincidence, because I know at my core level that it isn't. But then at a more superficial level, I'll explain to you exactly what I mean. So you're studying science, and science has a lot of theories, and I love science. I'm a huge, studied quantum mechanics probably for the last 10 years now. So I would consider myself of science, but not a scientist, and there's a reason for that. And the current sort of understanding is that yes, there was lots of coincidences and random generations that led to matter forming repeating patterns. Those repeating patterns turned into the double helix DNA strands that make up you and me. Those repeating patterns created protons and neutrons, in which electrons would appear around them in a certain pattern, and eventually those continuing and repeating patterns formed the universe and life as we know it. Now, from science, when you can't conclusively prove something, sometimes you need to say, this is the best understanding we have. And you have to look at probability of events. Now, the probability of the universe being a coincidence is about the same as the probability of someone throwing paint at the roof of the Sistine Chapel and being able to do the beautiful Michelangelo frescoes that you see. And that's probably a really accurate portrayal, because there's a couple of things that make the universe so incredibly probable that it was designed by an essence or creator. And those things include the force of gravity. If you change it by just 1 part per million, things can't stick together. We can't have planets, we can't have asteroids, we can't have life. The universal constant, which was Einstein's creation, if the universal constant changes just a little bit, the universe spreads apart too quickly and we never get any sort of formation of stars. If it's changed another way, there's never enough room for the explosion of the Big Bang to ever move out. So there's, from a perspective of probability, there was an intelligent creator. And I guess I want to talk to you about probability and how incredible sort of understanding your spiritual side is in context of questions like coincidence. Things happen for a reason. And they happen for a reason because you generate your own reality, and quantum physics will sort of go into this further, but the generation of your own reality is a collaborative event with the other subjective beings around you who are actually the universe experiencing and connecting and enjoying itself with other parties. Now, as we have this conversation, something incredible is happening. So the Big Bang was 14.6 billion years ago. And a lot of stuff happened. We had dinosaurs, we had dudes in top hats, and before that we had the formation of our Earth about 4 billion years ago, the formation of our galaxy, and a lot of time has passed. So it's really interesting from a probability perspective that I could be answering this email right now, because if you think about it, out of 14.6 billion years, in a email response that's 10 minutes long, I'm right at the top layer of 14.6 billion years of time. I'm right on the thin slice of 10 minutes, and I'm alive and I'm present. These dinosaurs are dead. Abraham Lincoln's dead. Stars and galaxies have gone and exploded, but I'm here right now having this conversation. So the probability of that is, if this email went for a year, it won't go for a year, but if it did go for a year, it'd be 1 in 14.6 billion chance of probability that this could be happening right now. Statistically, you're really stretching when you start looking at that sort of coincidence and probability. So we're definitely here for a reason. You're watching this video for a very distinct reason. The idea of time and events coming into fruition into your life because of probability and chance is simply an easy explanation. It's an easy way out. Science is fantastic and it's generated so many great things, but there's an old saying, give a scientist one free miracle and explain the universe, and this is one of those situations where it's difficult to explain, so we simply fall into what is the most politically correct, or the consensus of a group of scientists who say that it might just be coincidence. Now, there's been consensus between scientists that the world was flat. There's been consensus by scientists that bad air in the ether causes disease, not bacteria, before bacteria was understood. So we need to be careful before we jump on the science bandwagon, because science is a moving target, and I'm sure that sooner or later we'll start to understand the serendipitous nature of life. You meet people, they come into your life, they teach you valuable lessons. There's no way this universe was set up in the way it was. The Goldilocks principle is probably a key defining feature in understanding how it's probably not a coincidence. The Goldilocks feature is obviously Goldilocks cruises around with into the three bears house. Why she was broken, I have no idea, but things were too hot and too cold for her, and she was always having a whinge. This is too hot, this is too cold. I think she was breaking into someone's house, so she shouldn't have been so judgmental. However, the Goldilocks principle basically is, if Earth was only a few 100,000 kilometers further away from the sun or closer to the sun, life as we know it wouldn't be able to have generated and got to the point it has now. So we're in this everything seems to be Goldilocks, right? Like our universe has the right parameters for gravity, wave force carriers, the Higgs boson particles, the right, the right weight. We've got the universal constants the right weight. All these factors that come together to allow us to have this conversation. Then we're on the top level of 14.6 billion years of creation, which seems to me, geez, I'm pretty lucky. But that sort of luck, that's outside the realms of probability. So I would like to believe that the universe and its existence is play. It's play for living beings. The idea of coincidence is just unfathomable, and there's something much deeper. And whether or not, statistically you want to take the 1 to 14.6 billion chance, just ask yourself in those quiet moments when you feel true connection, when you hug someone you love, when you help someone who's less fortunate than you, when maybe you're on psychedelics and you're able to reach different realms of consciousness and different frequencies that allow you to see the connectivity around you. When the sun hits the leaves in the morning and you feel the energy of the leaves, and you can feel that at some level there's some purpose to this, that's really enough in those moments to help you know that it's probably more than a coincidence. So great question. I'm really glad we got to talk about the Goldilocks principle. If you want to check out more information about particle physics, I have a video below that will teach you more about how the particles interact around the universe. Great question. Thank you and goodbye.